If we're all ready, we'll kick off with Andy from PLP.
Morning, Mikel. How are you?
Good.
Excellent. How much would you say has the West Brom win almost helped to shake off the Europa League disappointment, or is it still a little bit too raw, do you think?
Obviously, winning helps, and it was our duty to get the points that we needed at home as well, and try to finish the season as strong as possible after the disappointment that we had.
You've talked about being ruthless in terms of the changes at the club moving forward. I wonder, what are those changes? Is it down to personnel? Is it down to playing style? What's that down to?
Well, we have already had an incredible amount of changes throughout the club in the last year or so, more than ever. We are looking to improve, and we are looking to be much closer that where we are at the moment. In order to do that, there are certain things that we have to improve.
So when you say that the foundations are there, what would you say is the next step for you in terms of your vision at the club?
Now it's how we evolved. It's a lot of things that have to be done, and they have done. A lot of changes to make, and a lot of them have been made. And now it's time to evolve. And to evolve, you have to take things now, once they are a little bit more settled and established, take them to the next level.
Would you say that the side has made progression this season? Would you say that the side has made progression this season?
We have made progression in many areas. I would say performance included, and that's supported by many factors that we have looked at. Results-wise, to where we want to be, it has to be improved.
Just a quick one on Chelsea. An excellent last week. Well, it's been an excellent few months, I suppose, for them. Would you say they're now the biggest test in the league?
Well, probably they've been the best team in the league in the last few months. What Thomas has been able to do since he arrived has been exceptional. He put the team in 2 finals. The way the team is looking, how solid they've been defensively as well, and how composed and regular they've been in their performance has been excellent.
And just finally, how are Arsenal looking team news-wise? Are we likely to see Ober or Lacazette back?
We'll have to see for today. We have some issues at the weekend again. We are playing every 3 days. We have no time to train yet. Today is going to be the first day, so we'll have to wait and see.
Do you mind me asking what those issues were in terms of any injuries? Or?
Yeah, some injuries, yes.
That's fine. Thanks, Mikel. Best of luck on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. We'll go to Gail Davis from Sky Sports.
Hi, Mikel. Just in terms of those injuries, anybody absolutely ruled out for the Chelsea game at the moment?
Well, the situation with David, that is not yet recovered, and we will see how he does in the next few weeks. And the rest is still in contention, but we'll have to see today how they come.
How do you want to use these final 3 games? What do you want out of this? What's going to motivate these players? Is it a sense of maybe playing a little bit for their futures, given that you have talked a lot about an overhaul in the summer?
No, I think it's the pride, the shirt that we have, and that we want to win. And winning is going to put the team in a much better position on the table, which is going to give us the chance to finish where is mathematically possibly, but it doesn't depend on us at the moment.
And can you just elaborate a little bit more when you talked about sort of evolving this side? Everybody has an ideal plan of what that looks like. What does that look like to you in terms of going forward to the next season?
That we have to do better. We have to be much more consistent. We have to win more games, and in order to do that, there are certain things that have to improve.
On top of that list would be what?
That will see what happens in the summer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gail. We'll go to George Cummings from BBC.
Thanks, Dan. Mikel, hello. I was just wondering, in terms of looking ahead to next season, are we going to see big improvements from your players in the fact that you probably got 5 days a week to coach them rather than this current situation where you've got a game every day? So will they get a lot better once you be able to coach them properly?
Well, I think having a pre-season is going to be really helpful because we haven't had any time to work together yet since we arrived. But after that, let's see where we finish this season and what's the amount of games that we have to play. But obviously, in terms of game preparation and time to coach them, it's much better to be in that position than not having any time to prepare between the games, obviously.
In terms of this summer, could we see a big outlay of players going? And I know you had a lot going in December just gone. Are you expecting a lot of players to leave and a lot of new players to come in, fresh faces? When do you start making plans for next season, rather?
There is so many things to do because we already have a lot of players on loan, a lot of players with contracts still that we have to sort, and it will depend what happens with a lot of those players and what we are able to recruit to improve the team is going to determine where we are.
Do you sit down at the end of the season? Are you already making plans now? How will the decisions be made with you?
We've been sitting down the whole year. We've been in constant communication, and things would change. Some things that would stick to the plan that we already have, and some other things would come out. But we sit down very, very regularly to talk about those things, obviously.
So it sounds like you all have a plan of how this summer's going to work, and it's just about implementing this plan to get Arsenal where you need to be. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George. We'll go to Ian Abrahams from TalkSport. I think you're on mute there, Ian.
Hi, Mikel. How are you? You
Hi,
okay?
Ian.
I just want to know, to start with, if you were upset by some of the criticism from former players over the last week or so, some who won titles with Arsenal, cups with Arsenal, who've been quite vocal about the way the team have performed this year.
I think everybody's entitled to give their opinions, and when they have the chance to do that, they have to say what they feel.
Does it give you, I don't know, does it upset you, though, the fact that some of these players, maybe some players that you would have either played with or certainly have just gone before your time at the club?
Again, it's nothing for me to say. I cannot control that. If you tell me what I would like to have around the team and around that everything that is related to the football club, is that we have the unity and the stability to work. But if it's not the case, it's nothing that I can do.
Some fans too have been quite vocal about whether or not you should remain in the job after what happened with Villarreal. What's your message to those who maybe are doubting you a little bit after this season?
Again, that they're entitled to opinions. The only way that I can prove that is by having a team that performs on the pitch and makes them proud. And that's the only thing that I can do. The only thing I have to be judging is, do I create the environment, the necessary environment for a top elite team to perform at the highest level and get everybody in the condition to give their best? And after that, do I get the best of the players that I have? The maximum, whatever the level is, do I get the best out of that? And this is how I judge myself. And at the end, outside the world, how I'm going to be judged is just with results, nothing else. What we've done good before, in the past, in the process, Ian, it's irrelevant. It's only what you get from that result when you're on that pitch.
One positive from this season, or I mean there are many, but is the young players. Emil Smith-Rowe, Bukayo Saka have certainly come to the fore. You can see that Joe Willock has done well on his loan up at Newcastle. Is there a lot of optimism with yourself going forward? You could build a good Arsenal team, a challenging Arsenal team around these young players.
Absolutely. I think we have a great potential with them. They've shown that this season they are ready to take responsibility in important moments. They have the level to do it. They have the hunger to do it. And they have the right senior players around them to help them as well. It's about how we click and we are consistent, because we've shown on the day that we can compete and beat the top teams, but through 38 games we haven't done it. Through a competition, Europa League, we've done it to the point that we are so close to getting to that final, but in 38 games, that's the duty that we have and the challenge ahead of us to compete with the big teams in this league.
And one final question. Obviously, your final home game of the season is going to have fans. We now know that fans are coming back after what the Prime Minister said yesterday. It's what we've all been yearning. I know you've said this on many occasions about how you want the fans back. You feed off the energy the fans give you at the Emirates. What's your message to them for when they come back for their last game of the season?
That we cannot wait to have them in the stadium, with a full stadium or whatever the capacity that we are allowed to have in our stadium for the last game. It's something that we missed in this process, to have them together, to feel what the team wants to do and create that chemistry and get them closer to what we are trying to do. And the fact that we've been living with that distance, that's not helpful at all.
Brilliant. Good luck.
Thank you, Ian.
Thanks, Ian. Nick Callow from Haters.
Hi there, Mikel. When you were talking about pre-season there, obviously that's very important, it'll be a great bonus. Do you have a date set for when the players will be back? Are you going to be going away abroad to train? Any matches already lined up?
We are trying to finalize everything with the COVID world. It's been a real challenge to get any games or pre-season tours sorted out. Hopefully in the next week that will be confirmed and we can announce that. But this is what we are trying to do. Obviously, the Euros is going to condition as well the return dates of the players in relation to what they do in the tournament. So still some question marks there, Nick.
And just to, I understand that because it's going to be very tricky, isn't it? But just another thing, touching on sort of former players, one of the things an old teammate of yours, Jack Wilshere, said at the weekend or yesterday was that he thinks there aren't enough what he called Arsenal people at the club. There aren't enough people who've been at the club for a long time. Do you think it's important to have people who've been at the club for a long time around you?
I think it's very important to have people that they've been here, that they have the experience, that they are well respected here. We have a lot of them as well around the training ground, at the stadium. So I don't know if Jack refers to more of the type of people or players, or just people that recognize with the DNA of the club.
Maybe they're people from his coaching staff and things like that. And on recruitment and this change of personnel this summer, I know you don't want to speak about specific players, but I noticed that one of the players you were linked with was Wojciech Szczesny as a sort of possible goalkeeping return. Without talking about him, what is your view on players coming back to Arsenal? Arsene Wenger always used to said he didn't like to bring players back because it was sort of the history and that was done. Do you have a view on bringing players back?
Honestly, I cannot talk about any individuals, Nick.
No, but I mean, in general, do you have a theory about players coming back?
It's not on the plans at the moment.
It's not on plans to bring any players back that played for the club before. And in terms of getting rid of players, I say getting rid of, selling players, would you think you'll be in another situation like the winter where you have to pay some contracts up, like with Mesut Ozil?
I don't know where the summer will take us. I think every situation will be different, and hopefully we are not in that position anymore.
But just finally then, is it fair to say that you'll have to get players to leave the club before you can sign players?
I don't think that's completely like that, but it will restrict and it will alter some plans in relation to what happens with one or two.
Okay, thanks for your time. Good luck, Chelsea.
Thank you.
Hi, Mikel. One of the things you said just then is one of the criteria you judge yourself on is by getting the maximum from the players. Do you feel that has happened this season, that the players have given their maximum?
With the majority of them, yes.
Not all of them. I mean, presumably, how do you go around changing that?
Trying to again, finding a different way to do it, find them, challenging them again, putting somebody next to them to try to push them again. Some of them can get to a certain level and you cannot push any further. You want to evolve that, is not possible.
On another subject, I mean, it's possible still you could qualify for this Europa Community League next season, which is being quite derided by a lot of people. But would you take that as opposed to having a free season with no European football?
Well, I think we have any possibility to be in Europe is always ideal for our club.
And I mean, obviously, the Europa League has given the club the chance to develop a lot of the young players like Saka and Smith Rowe and Martinelli. Would that be a problem next season without having that sort of competition in which to maybe give younger players a chance?
Well, I think they would be in a different development phase next season with what they have achieved this season. To use the same criteria with all the young players that they might be here, we would have to find a way in other competitions to accommodate this playing time that they need, Mark. And
presumably, the last question, without European football, you probably need a smaller squad because you can't really accommodate 30 players if you're only playing one game a week.
Well, we already had a very large squad the way we started last season, and a not very balanced squad in certain positions as well. So obviously, what we've been trying to do all this time is trim that down and put it in a way that is much more sustainable, and it made more sense for the qualities and positions that we need.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. We'll go to Gary Jacob from the Times.
Morning, Mikel. You just mentioned sort of you felt that the majority of the squad have sort of performed, and if that's the case, why haven't the team performed better in terms of results?
I think it's difficult to judge then where we should finish and where our level, realistic level is. When I said the majority, I didn't say all of them. And some has some big contribution to make to those results.
What is the level then? The current level of the team and squad?
Well, the one that we've shown, because in 38 games he doesn't lie.
Can I ask? Obviously, you say you've had made plans for this summer. Will you now have to sacrifice players to raise funds, or bigger players to raise funds?
Let's see what happens. It's difficult to predict that one, but in general, we wouldn't like to do that because we're only going to be stronger.
But if you don't do that, you then have to ask the owner for some money. So which one would it be?
I think it was clear that if we want to improve the team, we need some resources.
And on David Luiz, have you made a decision now to extend his contract or to allow him to leave at the end of the season?
We already spoke about it, and at the end of the season, the decision will be made.
Okay. And just one thing on obviously Chelsea tomorrow. Obviously Tuchel went in there and he's been able to change it quite quickly. From the outside, are there differences between the clubs that he's been able to go in there and change things quickly? Perhaps the infrastructure is different, that you are still working on changing things, that you can get into a position where you can change the results like he's been able to change the results.
I leave that answer for you, Gary, but I think it's to compare two scenarios like this, I think it's very, very different.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
You've spoken a lot in the past few weeks about, Arsenal and the size of the club, the fan base, the stature. Do you think that is going to be enough to attract players without European football? Do you think the club's brand and reputation will be enough to get the players you want?
Every player that we've been linked with, or we had some communication, I haven't seen one that it was refusing to come here. Completely the opposite. Everybody is very willing to join our club.
When you joined the club, was it something you looked at, the fact they were playing in Europe, or was it about playing for Arsenal that was the factor when you joined it?
I was already so keen to come before because I always admired this football club and the way they did things and the way they used to play, so it was an easy one.
And is it also important anyway that the players who come in are joining to play for Arsenal, not because they want to play in the Champions League or Europa League, they're playing because they want to be at this club?
Yeah, that's a really good point, and as well we have to take the club to where we want. In order to do that, you have to be willing to accept the situation that we have today to achieve what we want in the future.
And just the last one, you spoke the other week about being ruthless. Does that include getting business done early and quickly because you have a lot to do. You can't afford to be waiting late in the window to get deals done.
That's always ideal because it allows you time to work with the players to adapt, and when you have to the amount of changes that you have to, you do the last minute, obviously you know what is going to happen.
Thanks, Mikel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.